Slowly inhale. Gently open your eyes. Yes. Very good morning to all of you once again.
Good morning.
We are starting from the 16th shloka. No, I think not 16th one. We need to start from the 21st one, where we came to uh, the ending of. See, this is what happens, simultaneously the class of Hatha Pratipika is happening in BA class, in MA class, and it is happening here at Samatvam also. So markings in the book always make me confused where I stopped in which class. So here we are going to begin from the 21st one, which is talking about the Shuddhi Kriyas. Medha Shleshma Adikaha
साबिर भाई
Purvam.
सॉरी है समर्थन का एस मार्क कर लिया कीजिए वो दिख रहा है ना आपकी स्क्रीन पे वो मार्क
Very nice. Yes, I will do that. I will do that. So that is where the tick mark won't help. It will. It is required that we should S mark now, so that the samatvam is specified there. Yeah. So going ahead with Medha Shleshma Adikaha Purvam Shatkarmani Samatare Anyastu Nacharitani Doshanama Samabhavataha. So here it is very clear that if your three doshas are in balanced state, Hatha Pratipika or the great Swatmaram Suriti doesn't expect us to practice Shuddhi Kriya. But at the same time, if the doshas are not balanced, then we should think about going with the practice of the Shat Karmas or the Shuddhi Kriya. These Shat Karmas, Shuddhi Kriyas, or Shodhana Kriyas, these are the cleansing processes. Now, these cleansing processes are utilizing the medium what the body is of. If we look at our physical body, it is Panchama Bhautik Sharira, which consists of Prithvi, Apa, Teja, Vayu, Akash. And all these Shuddhi Kriyas that we are going to learn will be comprising either a singular medium of Mahabhuta, or maybe the combination of two, or maybe the combination of three, as we are practicing every individual Shuddhi Kriya in this practice. So it is very clear that if we want to bring about that balance in the physical body, we need to look at the state of doshas, which suggests the imbalances if something is wrong. And when we are taking care of the purification of the body or bringing it into the state, automatically the doshas are functioning in a beautiful way and we are healthy. Bhautir bastis tatha netis tratakam nauli kapal bhatis chaitani shatkarmani prachakshate. So these are the shat karmas. Dhoti. Dhoti is the cleansing of the whole elementary track, right from the mouth up to the anus. Pasti, you can call it as colon cleansing or the cleansing of the large intestine, or you can at the most say last part of the large intestine. Neti is the cleansing of the or the nasal cleansing. Nauli is the cleansing of not only the abdominal cavity, but at the same time, it is bringing about the changes in the pressure manipulation throughout. You can take note of the pressure manipulation in the flow of blood. You can think about the pressure manipulation of the lymphatic fluid flowing through the lymphatic vessels. You can think about the flow through the nadis, like esophageal uh, pipe, you can say, which is our esophagus, to which the food pipe passes. Even the cleansing of the same will happen. The peristalsis movement of the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine, they are all improving and getting cleansed. And this is where the Nauli is to be understood. Kapalabhati. Bhati is related with shining, glowing, or brightening, and Kapal is supposed to be your forehead. But more than forehead, the Kapal should be taken as the skull, and you will understand this more beautifully when we go through the Gheranda Samhita, where Kapalabhati has been called as Bhalabhati, and the passage towards the skull or the bhala is through the internal cavity of our mouth, and that is the nasopharyngeal tract from the oral cavity to the nasal passage. And when we do Kapalabhati, when we are giving the diaphragmatic abdominal strokes, we are actually creating that kind of strokeful pressure manipulation in our throat, nasopharyngeal tract, or you can say at the sinus region. Maximum experience of the had, which not only has its impact on the cranial nerves, olfactory nerves, optical nerves, but also other important nerves like the 10th cranial nerve of your vagus nerve. Now, this is where we are uh, involving Kapalabhati as a cleansing of the whole skull. At last, I forgot in between Trataka. Before Nauli, Trataka, and Trataka is purely said to be cleansing of the eyes. But how Tratak goes ahead beyond cleansing of the eyes, stimulating the optical nerve and the other cranial nerves to bring about that cleansing of the mind also. Purification of the mind is also being stated here. Okay, how Pratakriya goes ahead and cleanses our nervous system, at the same time, the cleansing of the aspects of nervous system. So these are the six: Dhoti, Basti, Neti, Tratak, Nauli, and Kapalbhati as Shuddhi Kriyas, which are mentioned here in Hatha. The next shloka says, Karma Shatakamikam Gopyam Ghatashodhana Karakam Vichitra Guna Sangahai Pujyate Yoga Pungumihi. These six are the very cherished processes which purify the body, and they do yield very good results. And these are held in high esteem by the great practitioners of yoga. Though we do not find the mention of Shuddhi Kriyas in Goraksha Shataka, but there is mention of Shuddhi Kriyas in Siddha Siddha Paddhati, in Shiva Samhita. It has also been nicely mentioned in Gheranda Samhita, where we find the expansion at its best. The six karmas or the six Shat karmas have been classified into 21 more. And then we can understand the one, the Hatha Ratnavali, which goes ahead and explains to us Ashtakarma. Beyond the Shatkarmas, he has added two more. One is already been discussed as the classified part of dhoti and basti, but at the same time, Ashtakarma is a different way of explanation of the just through Hataratna. Anyways, we are trying to focus on Hatha Pratipika just to bring about the clarity how it has been explained in various Hatha Yogic texts. Any one Hatha Yoga text and start practicing it in a proper way. With these three introductory shlokas and making us understand the types, we are getting into the techniques and benefits of every Shatkarma now. Coming to the first one, which is Dhautihi. Yes, sir.
My question is whether you have advised people to do these in today's context. This Dhauti appears to be rather difficult one. So, is it currently practiced?
It is practiced very easily and very nicely. In fact, it is not at all difficult. If practiced, it can be done at a great level. Whether it is Vastra Dhoti, whether it is Danda, the very common dhoti which is done is that is vomiting the water which you have drank up to the stomach level, you by stimulation vomit it out. So it can be done, sir. In Hiranya Samhita, the same Dhauti Kriya has been explained in four classified way: Vatasar, Varisar, Vahnisar, and Bahishkruta. Vatasar is cleansing of the whole alimentary tract through the eating of the air and purging it. Varisar is drinking of lukewarm saline water and removing it out through the anus. When it comes to Vahnisar, it is the manipulation of the abdomen by flapping it in and out, by hardening the abdominal wall, nicely having very good engagement of the abdominal wall and producing that kind of heat. And with that heat, it is expected that cleansing is taking place. When I am telling you about Bahishkrita, you will wonder, Sabir Bhai, this is so completely impossible. How can this be possible? But let me give you references also, because this has been done by eminent and great yogis and even saints. And there you will find the mention of the same in various literatures. Yes, Bahishkruta is that practice where the large intestine, or you can say at the most the last part of the large intestine, is removed in the inside out manner through the anus. It is done in a very technical manner. You have to eat air, you have to retain it in the stomach for almost 1.5 hours, and then with that pressure of the air uh, from the stomach to the intestine, you are creating a kind of pressure at the last part of the large intestine, which is from the descending colon to the sigmoid colon to the rectum. Anus cannot come out, but through anus, rectum can prolapse. The large intestine also can come out. Medically, many a times the doctors say this is not possible, but this is possible, sir. How can a doctor can say that Kundalini can be awakened? How can a doctor can say that you will attain that sampragnat or asampragnat kind of concentration and meditation? So in a very similar manner, this beautiful practice of Bahishkruta also, we cannot prove it by doing understanding with the scientific ways. But you will find the references even in Sai Sat Charitra. If you have not, if you ever go through that Sai Sat Charitra in the seventh chapter, it has been written, though it is written slightly in an exaggerated, might have written Sai Sat Charitra. He has tried to overemphasize the action of Sai Baba when he said that Sai Baba not only was standing in the flowing river, At the same time, he removed his intestine and put it on the branches of the tree to get it dried up. No, that is exaggeration. That is truly very exaggerated. But none of the yogic text will tell you this. Yogic text says, as you remove the socks from your feet, the inside part becomes outside. The internal layer comes out. If imagine this is the passage of your anus, and from here onwards is your rectum and large intestine. If this is coming down, this will come out like this. The outside part will be in, and the inside part will be. When the inside part is out, it can be nicely washed in the water, and one can retain it again. Slowly, this can become like this. Passage is normalized. This is the beauty of doing that Bahishkruti. In today's scenario, we do not find anybody doing it in a practical way, coming and telling us that I am doing it. But it is not rejected that no one is doing it. People who do it do not come up front to tell that I practice this Kriya, because they are way beyond into the practice of yoga, much very much ahead beyond all the desires and the other things of the material world. They are beyond the material world at all. Completely, they are into the yogic procedures and going ahead. So such people do exist, and there are other ways. Danta dhoti is there, Hrid dhoti is there. The one which is very common among the public is where Vastra, Danda, and Van are the three practices shown under the classification of Hrid dhoti. And there is Mula Shodhan, which is also known as Ganesh, which is practiced for the cleansing of anus passage, or you can say up to the rectum region. You can bring about that kind of cleansing effect. There are people who are practicing. When I was doing my course of advanced yoga in Kaivalya Dham, way back in 2006, we were taught how to do Basti, we were taught how to do Ganesh Kriya, and we were experiencing the same. So this is possible, but there are certain things taught or which cannot be learned. One has to grow to that level and start practicing by knowing the technique. And that will, I said, who is then going to make it clear whether we are doing it correctly or not? So the teacher used to say, when you come to that level, the inner guru is always there to guide you to make it. There won't be any guide from external side, but there is a guru in all of us who guides us and makes to move ahead. So this is how the dhoti has to be understood. And it is possible. It is not that it is impossible or it is difficult. It is only a matter of practice that it is possible. That is how we have to take it, sir. So here we are done with this understanding, and we are going ahead with the dhoti with vastra. And Chatur, the explanation goes like this: Chatur angula vistaram hasta panchadashayam guru upadishta margena siktam vastram shanair graset punah pratyahare che tat uditam dhoti karma tat rechait pratyahare rechait. Then you have to remove it out from the mouth itself, as it has been explained, and this is known as dhauti karma. So one should swallow chatur angula vistaram, char ungli chauda, 4 fingers width, and hastapancham. Hastapancha, this is one hasta, right from the elbow to the tip of the finger. This is one hasta. If we calculate it into the feet, it is almost like uh, sawa feet, ya fir 1.5 feet, 1.5. And if you take 15, then you can just imagine it comes to almost 22 feet to 23 feet. So 21 to 23 feet long strip of cloth dipped in lukewarm saline water here, and you are gulping it as if you're eating your normal food. The moment you have retained it in, you are removing it out within 20 minutes. Why I said 20 minutes? Because every 25 minutes to 30 minutes, the biological cycle changes. And there are chances there that whatever is there in the stomach will be pushed into the intestine. So maybe the cloth may also try to go into that duodenum C shape, first part of small intestine. And there are chances that it may get stuck there to remove from the mouth. On safer side, it is always said that when we practice Vastradauti, having remove it within 20 or at the most 25 minutes, but not delaying more than that. And as it is removed, the slip, slimy, full of mucus is what you will see the linen cloth or the cotton cloth, strip of the cloth, and coming out. It is not only taking out the excess mucus, but at the same time, anything which is stuck on the inner linings of the digestive tract up to the stomach, and it cleanses the whole esophagus pipe, or you say the track or the food pipe, and helps us to improve upon the digestive functioning. Next shloka does gives us the benefit, but is that technique clear to you all? Yes, sir. Sunil, unmute, unmute.
We are losing your voice, time and again in the middle. It's kind
अच्छा,
of कट के आ रही है आवाज.
Let me use my earphones. Is it clear now?
Better.
Okay, fine. Maybe the internet issue. Though the internet at my end, it is showing very clear and proper, but at the same time, maybe in between it is fluctuating. So what I was saying is this Vastra Dhoti, which is almost 21 to 23 feet long, 4 feet width, is in a lukewarm saline water and is eaten in the sense kept on the root of the tongue and gulped, and as it is gulped it is also pulled in through the tongue itself. We have to remove this within 20 minutes, and as it comes out, it brings out along with it the slimy mucus or excess mucus or any unwanted excessive part which has been existing in the stomach or in the lining of the digestive tract up to the stomach. And this is how the cleansing of the digestive tract is taking place. This process is known as dhoti, he says. And if you see the next shloka, he goes on to explain the benefits of the same. श्वास प्लीह कुष्ठम कफरोगाश्च विंशतिः धौति कर्म प्रभावेन प्रयान्त्येव न संशयः. कास, कफ और श्वास, asthma, pleha, the disorders related to spleen or the lymphatic system, and even kushta roga is not to be taken only with relation to leprosy, but you have to bring it in your mind that Kushta Roga is everything to do with the disorders of the skin, the integumentary system. And he also talks about 20 variety of diseases caused by the excess of phlegm, which undoubtedly gets cured. So there is no doubt about it that anything to do with the respiratory system related to your chest, maybe asthma, maybe breathlessness, or some other problems related to kapha, it can be treated with regular practice of Vastra Dhauti. Now, since Kaivalgram or Yoga Vidya Niketan, where I studied, these places are very strict about practicing of Shatkarma. We have learned it. Initially, you have that fear how you will be able to perform. But at the same time, if that firm resolution is there that you want to learn and you want to practice, it can be done easily and uh, can be understood by self practice. Okay, what is the benefit of the same? You can see the changes in you, you can experience the lightness in you, you can feel that how Shatkarma is the way to overcome excessive fat in the body. So, this is how Shatkarma should be emphasized and should be practiced. Many a times, and many schools do not give importance to Shatkarmas. Nowadays, even in the teachers' training courses, the teachers are also not even taught the Shatkarmas. They are given the knowledge of the Shatkarma, but they are not taught how to do the practice of the same. Whereas every teachers training course should have at least these 5 kriyas. One is the Vastra Dhauti, Danda Dhauti, Vamanto is very common, Neti, that is the cleansing of the nasal passage, and at the same time, Nauli. Tratak, everybody teaches and practices. Kapalbhati, everybody teaches and practices. But practically, slightly, what you can say, uh, fearful practices or the thing. But just now in the morning, we understood fear is also an emotion. Fear is also an expression where it is trying to make out our weakness or our desire. That, as Asha ma'am was clarifying it, it is trying to relate ourselves to others or communicate to others with the state of our being. So that is also one way. In order to avoid it, you are stating your own way of being, but at the same time, going through it, experiencing it, is like experiencing yoga at a very gross level and understanding what will be the bliss of practicing it at the more subtle level when we go ahead like this. This is the beauty of practicing Shatkarma. Along with Vas, Swatmaram Suriji went on to give us one more additional dhauti karma, and that is Gajakarni. Udaragata padartham udmanti pavanam apanam उदीर्य कंठनाले क्रम परिचय वश्य नाड़ी चक्रा गजकर्णित निगद्यते हटज्ञैहि. Here, उदरगत padartham udmanti. When we say udmanti, we need to get that kind of control on the group of the sphincter muscles. You can talk about the pyloric sphincter and the cardiac sphincter. The pyloric sphincter is the wall between the stomach and the small intestine, and cardiac sphincter is the wall between the food pipe and the stomach. In fact, when you bring about control on this two, you are able to raise your apana, and whatever is there in your abdominal region, or you can say in your stomach, can be reversed out and it can be vomited out. This has to be practiced step by step. A yogi raises the apana vayu to the throat and vomits food lying in the stomach. Now, if we want to omit the food lying in the stomach in the first place, why should we eat? It is not the food eaten is to be omitted. In fact, we have to understand the things here like this. After the digestion process is completed, see, when I always talk about the digestion process, we need to understand when does the stomach becomes totally empty and when is the digestion process complete. These are the two different understanding. In the first place, when you eat, when you chew, when you partially digest it in the mouth itself and then gulp it and take it to the stomach, it is found that at least 2.5 hours are taken to make the rasa out of that eaten food. And after that is done, it is getting absorbed into the body by means of our blood circulation, wherein the nutritive ingredients of whatever eaten food was there is taken up by the bloodstream and taken to each and every cell, wherein the insulin plays a very vital role to let each and every cell with the insulin receptor to absorb the food that we are eating, that we have already eaten, and brought it to the level of sukshma within the blood. And as that is taken up by the cell and we are getting satiated, that is complete digestion process. And for your information, this complete digestion process will take at least minimum 5 to 6 hours. Whereas when we talk about eaten food becoming rasa and coming into the bloodstream, it may take at least 2 to 3 hours. So when we say that I am fasting, for your information, the true fasting starts after 5 to 6 hours. That is the time when you are not fed, FED, fed. That is the time when you are not fed and the fasting really starts. And from that period onwards, the next time when you eat and let the body go through that process of again churning, digestion and all, that starts next. But between that period of eating the food almost 5 to 6 hours to the next food that we are going ahead and eating again, that is the time we say it is fasting. Now, this practice, which is Gajakarni, it is very clearly said that after having eaten the food and absorbed it, then that means we have to understand very clearly at least minimum 3 hours to 5 hours is the gap that you should be having after eating the food and then drinking water up to the throat region. As it is said here, okay, getting control over the group of sphincter as a result of practicing step by step. Yogis raise the apana vayu to the throat and vomit the food lying in the stomach. Now, which food is lying in the stomach after in in spite of 5 hours being done? The one which has not been digested, the one which is difficult to digest, or one which is like, the body is not ready to accept. And that is what is vomited out. And this is what the adepts in Hatha Yoga declare as the process of Gajakarni. Now, see, just by merely reading the shloka is not going to help us to understand the meaning of the technique, how to do it. It is very important that we take the guidance from the proper teacher who knows it, who has practiced it, and who can explain it properly and get it done from the students. So, this is where we are completing Gajakarni. In fact, there are people who have mastered the art beyond Gajakarni and they practice Vyagrakarni as well as they practice the Prapata, where they are getting control on their sphincter muscles to such a great level that they don't have to do any kind of stimulation or raising. They have to just think, and the water in the stomach comes out like a waterfall. It is like a magic. And if you might, sir, you might have seen in circus and all, the person, he drinks the full jug of water, full mug of water, which is consisting small fishes also, and he drinks it and then vomits it out into the same jug and shows people, you see, the fish which has gone into my stomach has also come out with my vomiting, and we feel what a magic he has done, or what a kind of activity he has done. But that activity is nothing but the simple yogic process of our dhoti karma. Yes, sir.
Sir, are we going to get online guidance to do this
Yes,
Gajakarni?
online guidance is risky. It has to be
Risky.
done upfront, because
Okay.
initially online, so it is very risky. At the same time, one to one, if at all the time comes, sir, I will be very glad to be there with you to teach you how to practice Vaman, how to practice Vastra, how to practice Danda, by showing you and doing the practice. Otherwise, one day what I will do, I will have my wife with me. She is also a very good practitioner of all these practices. So
Okay.
she will be showing you how to do Danda, how to do Vastra, and how to remove it gradually also. Even that can be done, arranged. Or we can have other demonstrators also to make it happen. I will plan it out. So let us see how it can happen. We have to do a lot of planning and proper arrangement for that.
Right.
So this can be done. It is not impossible. We can do, but at the same time, making you to do on online, it is slightly risky. We
Right.
should not go for that,
Okay.
because this is a process which should be learned one to one. The
Okay.
teacher is there beside you, understanding your state of mind and body at that time, understanding the physical language of that person, how strained he is, and he, so that whether he is practicing should continue or it should be stopped has to be also understood, and then one should
Fine.
get along with it.
Fine.
So this is how it is. So
Thank you.
let's go ahead and coming. Asham, wanted to ask something. Okay, okay, fine. So let us go ahead with the next one, which is called as Basti. Abhigna jale payu अन्यस्तना लो उत्कटासन आधार आकुंचनम कुरियात शालनम basti karma tat. We need to pull the pull the water in through the anus by contracting and relaxing. With that having done, we have to wash the internal, that is the intestine, the large intestine part, and remove that water as if we are evacuating the toxins out of our anus region. So this is known as basti karma. Many a times people call enema as basti and they name it as yogic enema. Now let me be very clear here. Though here when he says nabhigna jale payu anyastanala utkatasana, he really means that you sit in utkatasana position. उत्कटासन हमारे मराठी शब्दों में ऐसे कहना कि उकड़ू बैठना, पैरों के बल पे उकड़ू बैठना, जैसे हम पाट पर बैठते हैं, या फिर हमारा जो इंडियन सिस्टम of passing on the evacuation or the stools is the Utkatasana position, whereas the commode system is the English system. So here we have to sit in the Indian system like position in the water which is up to the navel region. And by doing the contraction and relaxation, it is said that the water will be pulled into the intestine. After washing the interior, we have to remove the water out. Now, here, let me tell you one thing clearly. Since I have practiced it, I know it. By just doing merely, because we were given enema tube and we were asked, as you lubricate it and insert it, you have to sit in the tub of water, which is normal water. It is neither cold nor very much warm. It is normal water. And you have to suck it in with a particular method. By just doing contraction and relaxation, as it says, आधार आकुंचनम कुरियात, वो करने के बाद में फिर you have to wash it. So this is not going to help you to pull the air up. No, sorry, pull water in. Then what you have to do? How the water will go in? For that, you have to learn Uddiyana Bandha, or you have to do Madhya Nauli. Now, Madhya Nauli, we will be learning later, but the technique is not explained in detail. How we practice Nauli Kriya in itself. You have to exhale out the air completely, and as you expand the chest, the abdomen will cave in because of the negative pressure created in the chest. And as the abdomen caves in, because the diaphragm is going up, sucked in because of the squeezing of the lungs, what happens is this negative pressure creates a kind of pulling action in the abdominal cavity. And that is what is pulling the water through the pipe into the stomach. Rather than saying stomach, I should say intestine. It is not stomach, not even small intestine, but it is into the large intestine. And as it is taken in, you can do Nauli Chalana, the rotation of your abdominal muscles to in order to wash. They say, as we wash the vessels below the tap water flowing, as you apply the soap or the whatever material you want to wash it, and then you do the shaking and rolling of the water inside, and then you remove it and throw it out. In the very similar manner, by churning of the abdomen, you can do the washing of the large intestine. And then just sit as if you are sitting to pass the stool, and you will find that there, with a great good pressure, the excess thing along with the toxin, along with the water, comes out nicely, washing the whole intestine. I should tell you one more thing. People who are having weak structure of the body, who जिसको हम कमजोर कहते हैं ना, or no doubt they are diseased, they should not practice Basti Kriya in their problems. Because when we are washing the large intestine, always remember the B complex is produced in large intestine, and it is taken up by the retention of the water into the bloodstream and supplied to the whole body itself. So the B complex which is produced, B12 or B2, which is being produced in our large intestine, is utilized by the body. Now what? When we are doing Shankha Prakshalan or Vari Saradhauti, or when we are doing Basti Kriya, we are allowing the same washing of the large intestine, wherein such kind of vital nutrients as well as some kind of essential microbes, or I would go ahead and say essential bacteria, is also washed out. And with that, we are making our system vulnerable. But here, you should not be practicing it regularly daily. You can do it once in a week, once in a fortnight, or once in a month as per your requirement under the guidance. Once you have understood it, then you can keep on practicing. It will help you even to overcome many issues. Hatha Pratipika goes to a great extent to make you understand how many types of problems are sorted out by practicing Basti Kriya. Now, Ashutosh sir may be having one thing in the mind. कि ठीक है साबिर भाई, you have inserted the enema tube to take the water in, but this text was written in 14th century. At that time, which kind of pipe they were having? Because the anal sphincter muscles, they are so tight, you can say, that they won't allow anything from inside come out unless there's an instruction from here, or they won't allow anything from outside to go in unless there is some disorder and the failure of that region. So intention also, if that region is holding and not allowing anything to enter, then of course those yogis were using something. And there were three things which were utilized. One was the plantain stalk or the banana stem, which is very, what you can say, raw. कौला कहते हैं ना, बहुत कौला जो stem होता है, which is malleable and which is smoothened. That was used. Second thing which was used was the stalk of the lotus, which is also having a pipe-like structure, and this was also utilized to suck the water in through it. Then there was another thing which was utilized, and that was the root of the turmeric, which is pipe-like. And after cleansing it and smoothing it, it was also utilized by lubricating it and inserting it into the anus and allowing it to go inside. But one problem was there. Though once you are using such kind of you have to discard it. Means it is only one time use. It is a disposable thing like. But one thing is there. When you are using plainton stock or such kind of natural things, and when excess pressure is applied, you might have experienced this happening with a straw also. If you might have put it one end in your mouth and the other end in the glass where the juice is, and if you are little bit sucked it with little bit more force, what happens to the stock? It gets stuck by becoming together, and the flow of the liquid through the straw doesn't happen. And this was the common difficulty which was happening in this, because I am telling you with so much confidence, because once I attended Swami Satyananda Saraswati's lecture, and one of the fellow asked him the question, "Okay, with this kind of pressure manipulation in the abdomen, Sarji, how the liquid might be flowing through the stalk and this thing?" So sir said, "Okay, that time the mastery was such that you used to understand the thickness, understand the wall of that pipe, and accordingly the pressure was applied to let the water go inside into the intestine. But in today's scenario, for us to understand and make it happen may be difficult. And another thing is, to have such kind of plainton stock around us easily available is also second question mark. It is not easily available. And literally, such kind of enema tubes, which is a surgical catheter-like tube, which is used to give during the enema, which is utilized in our Basti Kriya also. So this is how Basti is being practiced. Any question related to this technique? Yeah, we will go ahead for the benefits. So Basti Kriya understood. Sitting in water up to the navel region in Utkatasana, inserting that tube inside, and as you do Madhyanoli or Uddiyana, the water is getting sucked in, and then you're removing the tube, doing the churning of the abdomen and washing the large intestine, and then allowing the defecation of all that ingredient that is there in the large intestine. That is the washing of the intestine. And this is known as Basti. So many a times people say it is yogic enema. So I ask, why you say it yogic enema? Why you use the word enema also to it? So they say, as the water can is attached to the higher side, and we attach the other end to our anus region, and when the key is open, the water from that container is flowing into our large intestine. Now that is where the naturopathy method is induced, which is again the external force applied in order to insert the water in our large intestine. But Basti, for your information, it is not the external force. It is the internal force which is utilized in order to let the air go up, now water go in. Again and again, that air is coming in my talk. Let me tell you very clearly that Basti is of two types. One is with water and one is with air. The air Basti is known as Sthala Basti or Shushka Basti, which is explained in Gheranda Samhita. Here it is Jala Basti explained, and there the Jala Basti as well as Sthala Basti has been explained. So having understood Basti with procedure and technique very clearly, let's try to understand its results. The results are Gulma, Pliha, Udaram, Cha Api, Vata Pitta Kapha, Udvaha, Kapudbhavaha, कर्म प्रभावेन शीयन्ते सकलमयाः. Now here, as a result of practicing Basti, all the diseases are cured. All the diseases are cured in the sense you will never attract any disorders. You will not come across any problems. You will not be ailing with any of the diseases because it is like trying to bring about the balancing in the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, all the three doshas. So see how Basti is important. Basti is that Shuddhi Kriya which is about the balance of all the three doshas. Basti karma prabhavena shiyanti sakalamayaha. And this is when we say gulma, it is spleen. When we say pliha, it is spleen. When we say gulma, it is like the glands, other glands, like maybe the gland of stomach. Stomach is also a mixed gland. Liver is also a mixed gland. So these are the glands which secrete, produce, and these are getting cleansed, or the disorder of these glands is avoided. Dropsy. Now, when we say Jalodhara or dropsy, uh, my teacher explained this problem in English word as ascites. ASCITIS. Ascites is a problem which is usually found more prevalent in females, sometimes because of wrong lifestyle, sometimes because of hormonal imbalances. There is accumulation of water retention in the uterus, which creates lot of problem, and it is not easily treatable with modern medicine. But Ayurveda has a solution for it. Modern medicine doesn't have a solution for ascites. If you go into the detailing, you will come across that. But Ayurveda has a right method of treating ascites. Now, this is the beauty of Indian medicine. Now, here, yes, sir.
I just wanted to know whether enema was developed to mechanize Basti, or enema was developed on its own separately in Europe.
It was developed in Europe, no doubt about it, but it was an external method utilized to cleanse the anus region. And whether they were having the impression of Basti also, I am truly speaking, I'm not aware about it. But the concept is totally different, the technique is different, and maybe the cleansing is of the same region, but to understand it, the procedure is totally different. And many a times people say, here we are using the container and we are allowing the water to flow. That is not the basti which we talk about in Hatha Yoga. That is the basti. Even see a pregnant woman before going for delivery, she has to go through the enema procedure to cleanse her anus region or the large intestine. If there is any kind of fecus lying there, it should not be creating a mess during the process of delivery. So they are given the enema initially so that a large intestine is cleansed, and then they can go ahead with the procedure properly of that. So many a times it is an external way of cleansing the anus region, whereas Basti is truly an internal way of cleansing the region. So this is only the thing, but I cannot guarantee you that it may be somewhere influenced with Basti only, or that is the other way of doing the Basti Kriya. But that is different because naturopathy was existing in Europe, and enema is a very old practice of naturopathy. It was practiced in Austria. Benedict, Benedict Lust was a great naturopathy doctor who introduced this kind of practice into the US crowd, into the America. And there it became very famous. More than the modern medicine, people used to practice naturopathy medicine, a naturopathy way of going ahead. But nowadays it has become lesser and lesser, and hardly in some corners it has been practiced. India, it is practiced to a great level. There are certain countries where it is practiced to a great level, but now modern medicine has completely conquered the world, and this kind of cleansing things are not happening, or they are not prevalent that much. So this is how we have to take it, sir. Sorry.
Gandhiji used to
Very
believe
much.
in naturopathy.
Yes.
So he used to believe in enema or basti.
Now let me be very clear. He was practicing yoga as Basti, and along with Vinoba Bhaveji, they used to practice this at our Urli Kanchan. Urli Kanchan is the place where these people used to gather together, have a meeting related to freedom and all also. And at the same time, they used to go through this kind of naturopathy cleansing. But it is very clear that Gandhiji used to practice Basti Kriya as well as the naturopathic way of going through that. If you go to the write-ups with Gandhiji's understanding, and both the things mentioned in his books. I cannot specify which book, but I have understood because I have learned naturopathy to a great extent and understood it to a great level with theory point of view. So we used to always come across the book written by Gandhiji himself about naturopathy cleansing and naturopathy as an essential part of yogic living. So he used to say that naturopathy is very essential to become yogic. That's what he used to emphasize. So that's how you can relate both. But in his book, he has said, okay, yogic cleansing is uh, basti, and the enema that we have is a naturopathy way of cleansing. And he was literally influenced by this European naturopathic doctors who were really trying to make the things very natural. And you can say the main aim was the removal of the toxin from the body. They used to say the accumulation of the toxin itself is a disease. There is nothing like disease. Even they used to treat microbes or germs as healthy part of our body. They never used to say that the germs are, like invaders. In fact, they used to say that is an essential part of our body. We need ingredient and where it is an essential ingredient. So when this essential becomes toxic, it is because of our lifestyle where we need to understand the toxic nature has to be removed in a proper way. And the main reason for this toxic nature was given through the explanation of this. Sunil Bhai also can emphasize this. In Sankhya Karika, we come across these three things, which is like, ajirnatvam, ati jirnatvam, ujirnatvam, which was emphasized by the yogic schools, where the disturbance of the body, of the digestive system was taken. आदि दैविक आध्यात्मिक और आदि भौतिक को, तो आदि भौतिक के अंदर they used to go ahead and make it understand through this problem of related to the digestive system, and this is connected to the naturopathy system where these three things are emphasized. Indigestion, though we all know, but what about wrong digestion and over digestion? Even these are the two problems which are vulnerable to our system. So we need to bring about that kind of balancing effect. So we have to understand the three ways where we get affected: the Adi Daivik Tapa, the Adi Bhautik Tapa, Adhyatmik Tapa, and with that, in that Adi Bhautik, how the things may be taking place by various means. So with this understanding, you will be getting a very good clarity on how naturopathy helps you to overcome this kind of ajirnatvam, ati jirnatvam, and kujirnatvam, which literally goes ahead and makes your yogic practices perfect. One more thing which I should tell: naturopathy will certainly help you to become yogic, but at the same time, let me be very clear here: naturopathy need not be essentially utilized as a part of yoga. Naturopathy, no doubt, is a very good cleansing and healthy process of understanding our body and keeping it healthy. But when it comes to yoga, we are going beyond physical means. We are going into other state. We are going into conceptual and spiritual understanding, which is a journey from physical, from gross body to subtle body, from subtle body to the Karana Sharira, or you can say the causal body, whereas naturopathy limits you only to Sthula and Sukshma. And when it comes to Sukshma, it says that the Karana is always to be understood with yoga. Karana Sharira, the causal body, through the Sukshma Sharira, has to be understood through yoga. Now, this is very clearly written by Mahatma Ji in his book Nature Cure. I think I am taking the right name. It is written by him. The name itself is Nature Cure by Mahatma Gandhi Ji, and in that he mentions it very clearly. Okay, what is the difference in naturopathy and in yoga? So that's how we can relate both the things. And you will find many institutions not only imbibing Ayurveda in yoga, but also imbibing naturopathy in yoga. And nothing wrong with that, because that is the kind of living we should be having in order to become more yogic, more sattvic. Today, as we were discussing the journey from Tamasikta to Rajasikta, from Rajasikta to Sattvikta, Guruji used to give this example, and to somewhat Sunil Bhai also came in his explanation to that part when Ashutosh sir asked, okay, how desire can be destroyed. That question was asked. So Guruji used to say, desire is something which is matter, which is existing as a materialistic aspiration. You should not even think about it as a reality. It is reality because you are connected to the matter. Now, as darkness doesn't exist, the absence of light is darkness. So, in the very similar way, the absence of spirituality is the clinging to desire or the flow towards desire. So, you have to understand that awareness level that you maintain in order to be in that lightness, or you can say in that light or illumination, illuminated state, where the desire itself should tell you, okay, this is going to take me towards darkness. That is tamas. So, tamasikta, darkness, and Jyotirgamaya, we say, na, tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. So from darkness to light, what that concept itself is this transition from our gross body to subtle body to the causal body. So this is what you can say, the destroying of the desire itself is the illumination of the self. That's how you can connect it and go ahead, sir. When Sunil Bhai was explaining about Sattva, Raja, and Tama and trying to bring about the emphasis in the current world, I was about to say, but then I felt, okay, now much more has been said about it. Let us go ahead with the next shloka, as we are doing already less number of shloka in the class. I don't think we will be able to finish off in 50 sessions as we are thinking and the way we are going. So we have to be very careful about that. August is over, September is over, we are into October, and we are still only in the fourth chapter just started today. So Asha ma'am, you have to speed up. This is not from me, but from all of us, that we have to cooperate and understand that we have to speed up and take a grip on the subject. At the
I'm
same
really
time.
worried.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir, my brief given by
Yes.
Sunil Bhai that I have to represent the outside context, how it is relevant to today's context. So I am asking questions from that point of view.
Sir, I am learning a lot from that context.
This is
You
Sunil Bhai's
you
brief
just
to
cannot
me.
imagine.
Am I right, Sunil Bhai?
So, absolutely right. And see, it is only natural that when we start out, we always start out slowly. We should start out slowly because
Yeah.
it takes a while for us to kind of get to understand each other, get a hold on the subject matter, and already I'm finding that the last class or two, we are proceeding at a slightly faster pace. So I
Yes,
don't
yes.
worry in terms of being able to speed up later. See, when the foundation is laid well, the speeding up is not a problem. But we can speed up without, the initial grounding, and then we would complete the course. But
That won't serve the purpose. That is true.
We can also do one thing that after every few verses you can assign some verses for self-study. We will come prepared with self-study, and then you can ask questions and then
Oh.
see whether we have studied.
Wonderful, sir.
That is
That
a
also
nice.
can be done. Not every day, but after say 3 sessions, we can have some assignment for self-study.
Okay.
Yes, yes. We can do
Okay. So I was just waiting for 6 months to go and then adopt a different strategy. Okay, let us see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, as we are going ahead with this explanation, even the 29th one is giving us more detailed benefit of the practice of bhasti. And it says, Dhatva indriyantah karna prasadam dadacha kanti dahana pradiptam ashesha dosha pachayam nihanyad abhyas manam jalabasti karma. Practice of Jalabasti invigorates the dhatus, rasa, rakta, masa, meda, majja, asti, shukra. These are the sapta dhatus. The senses, the pancha indriya, as well as the pancha jnanendriya, as well as the pancha karmendriya. Internal organs, all the internal organs, and gives a sense of well-being. It bestows the luster, that is a glow on your skin or on your face, stimulates the digestion and completely destroys all the accumulated diseases. Now, how intently Swatmaramji has brought about this kind of explanation. And if you see this explanation, these two shlokas, the 28th and 29th, we won't find it in any of the other Hatha Yoga texts in the kind of explanation which is given here in Hatha Pradipika. That's why this explanation is really very meaningful and very important one to understand. So understood this as a benefit. Let us go ahead to the next, the Shatkarma, and that is Neti. Sutram Vitasti Susnigdam Nasanale Praveshayet Mukhan Nirgama Yet Chaisha Neti Siddhair Nigadyate. Siddhair Nigadyate, the one who have really practiced yoga to a great level. They have accomplished the yogic practices to a great level. They do this practice. Sutram Vitasti. Sutra. Now, sutra is something which is made up of the cotton strands brought together like 4 or 5 threads brought together and made a sutra. And it is Vitasti. Vitasti is almost like 9 inches long. Susnigdham nasanale. It is to be lubricated and inserted into the nasal passage. Mukhan nirgamayet chaisha. You have to remove it from the mouth. As you insert it from the nose, you have to remove it from the mouth. This is known as Sutraneti, as said by the accomplished yogis. Now, let me be very explanatory and clear to you all. When we are talking about the Sutraneti, even if it is lubricated, our nasal passage is very much defensive. Anything which comes as a foreign material in the flow or passage of the nasal cavity, the mucus is released and it is held there or held there and removed. As well as the mucus is always there. So when we insert that sutra, because of the moist nature of the nasal passage, it may get wet, it may get moist, and it may get rolled over there rather than coming to our throat region to pull it out. So the great teachers, the contemporary teachers, they have explained the technique like this, that initial part of this, you may not be taking only 9 inches long, but you may take it as 18 to 27 inches long sutra. The first 9 inches can be gently stiffened. When I say stiffened, it is like hardened with beeswax. Beeswax is a, what you can say, agreeable one, not the commercial one. The commercial wax is going to create a kind of difficulty, or you can say it is not advised. but the agreeable moist bee wax is edible, and that edible wax, when it is applied to the sutra and pushed inside in our nose, we can the stiff nature of the thread can easily be brought into the throat, held and removed out. But are we going to do that friction with the waxed part of the neti? No, the frictional part is to be done only with the sutra or with the cotton strand. And as you do that cleansing, you remove it and you throw it. Now, here we need to understand this is like one time use and disposable. You cannot use it again. So, there were techniques utilized where you can use the same thread or the sutra again and again, but it was not advised hygienically. So there, the theory of doing the practice with the rubber catheter, it is the simple surgical catheter available in the medical store that you can have. And it was advised by Swami Kovalananji. They say, Swami Kovalananji, as well as the great founder of the Yoga Institute, they both were Shishya of Madhav Das Ji Maharaj. And somewhere the education was instilled in them to make it easier for the common public to bring it about. And somewhere this idea clicked in of using the rubber catheter and utilizing it for cleansing. Not only we can cleanse it nicely with the frictional method, but at the same time, after removing it from the mouth, you can go ahead and sterilize it again. So you have to sterilize it and use it. And after you have used it, again sterilize it and store it. So this is how the Neti Kriya has to be understood and to be done. Now, there are people who are having various issues related to the nasal passage, which we will discuss in the next class and try to understand Neti Karma to a greater level. Because here the benefit, if you see, Kapal Shodhana, Jatru Urdhva Rogogham, and at the same time, Divya Drishti Pradayini. These are the three things which we need to focus a lot on and try to understand it. Okay, how Neti Karma is going to lead us into that state of purification of the whole skull itself.